Hey guys, so I'm just finishing up my day here at work, and uh, I just wanted to make a video about this because to post about it would just be paragraphs and paragraphs, and so I'm gonna just make a quick video if I can. So as some of you guys know, I've been working in tea manufacturing for over 10 years, and one of the most common question types that comes in over the customer service line is about natural flavors, and that's because they're kind of mysterious. They're weird, and it's difficult to understand. It took me a while to understand them. And so I'm going to do my best to just kind of lay out what I've learned about them and how they exist in the industry, how we use them, and what they're basically made out of. And gosh, before I can even go all the way down that road, you have to understand that natural and flavor are words that don't mean the same thing in the industry that they do in normal conversation. So flavor, if you've taken any organoleptic training, is like the experience of something, including the taste and the mouthfeel. And taste is just like, bittersweet umami, right? But when we say natural flavors, we're actually talking about an ingredient in a food whose sole purpose is to change the flavor, change the taste, right? So that's flavor. And then natural, well, FDA is actually pretty upfront about that. They say all processed foods are no longer direct products of the earth and are therefore not technically natural, as you and I would assume. However, it's a term that they allow under certain circumstances. And so in this case, natural flavor just means that it wasn't synthesized. It comes from a natural source. You didn't make it in a lab, right? So there's three basic categories of flavors. There's artificial, so that's going to be something that was synthesized in a lab. There's NA, which is natural and artificial, so it's a mixture of those two. And sometimes artificial flavors get a bad rap, in my opinion, because they're going to be like the same chemical sets sometimes that you would get from, let's say, rose, for example, but without having to grow and extract a whole field of roses. And you can do it in a small room without all that large impact, But anyway, there's artificial, there's natural and artificial, which is a blend of the two. And there's natural, which just has to come from the thing that it's labeled after. So if it's like a natural mango flavor, it has to come from mangoes, right? Pretty straightforward. And then finally, there's WONF, WONF, which is an acronym for with other natural flavors. So if there's like a mango WONF flavor, it can have mango in it. Certainly, parts of it can come from mango, but you can also have components of it that maybe come from a bay leaf. Like a bay leaf has, it's really rich in a terpene called myrcene, and that's one of the flavoring components in mango, right? So a really economic way to make natural mango WONF flavor might be to get some of that from something like a bay leaf. The other thing to understand, and I've got some right here, the other thing to understand is that there's only a little bit of that ingredient in there, and then there's also a carrier. So there's always going to be a carrier. In this case, you're going to see glycol, ethyl, alcohol, and water. So the reason why that's the case is the actual flavoring components are really, really small and almost impossible to handle accurately. And so it needs to get thinned out so that it's actually dosable and measurable, right? And the other thing you might notice about that label is it doesn't say exactly what the flavoring components are. It just tells you what the non-flavoring components are. That's because flavor houses are really, really tight-lipped about that stuff. It's their intellectual property. And so there's a little bit of, or a lot of bit of trust that goes into that. And our flavor suppliers are third-party audited. We check in on them once a year and make sure that stuff's all up to date, so we know they're above board. And then lastly, you're typically going to see these used in a formula. Like if you actually have a jug of this stuff and you're going to use it, I don't know, to make a tea concentrate or let's say a peach mango tea or something like that. There's a really low percentage of it that actually gets used in the tea, and most manufacturers would suggest that you start between like 0.5 and 2% by weight, not by volume. And so then finally there's essences and extracts, right? And so the rules on that is a little bit more strict. You know, like if it's a blueberry essence, it has to only come from the blueberry, and it is usually extracted and not cooked down or some other means, right? Anyway, there's a whole bunch more to it, but I understand it's always a subject that gets brought up in the customer service lines, people asking about it, what's actually in it. And a common question also is, does it contain allergens? So the answer is no. A natural coconut flavor is not going to be allergenic, because the part of the coconut that would cause an allergic reaction has no commercial value, and therefore it would not end up making it into the final product. And if it did, it would have to carry a allergen warning, which means any product made with it would also have to carry that warning. So unless you see the allergen warning, which is really strictly controlled, and it's one of the major reasons for recalls for food in America. So unless you see that warning on your label, you're probably safe, and there's no allergens in there. Anyway, hope that clears up some stuff. Thanks for watching this very long breakdown of flavors.